Greetings. Finalizer here. This video is meant to give MWLL players who are struggling to get to better assets an idea of how veterans play to get them. It's not a tutorial, but should provide an insight to players who already know the basics of the game, but still find themselves stuck in medium mechs or tanks, and want to get into better assets without begging for C-bills from other players. In this round, I opt for a Raven E at the start. Most players will tell you that the Owen C is the ideal starting choice, and for the most part they're right, though this Raven is plenty capable, and I don't intend to show off pro skills or anything of that sort. Rather, I'm simply giving an example of how I would play in order to get to a better asset quickly. As this is a terrain control match, I start by looking at the status of the bases and where everyone is, then decide where I'll go first. I see that one of the southern bases my team owned was attacked and captured, so I go south to gauge the situation. As I'm in a light mech, I don't want to commit myself to an engagement, especially when it's so late in the game that I'll likely come against mechs much larger and better armed than myself. Instead, I'll play conservatively and get an idea of what I'm up against first. I see that there's at least one enemy in the base I was headed to, however I won't fight him right away. I've already said that at this point in the game I could be against any number of mechs or vehicles much more powerful than my own, so it's wise to stay back until everything is clear. I can also depend on C3 on my mech to generate extra C-bills for me while I scout, so this isn't wasting time. At this point, I've identified that there's at least two enemies in vicinity of the southern bases, and that one of them is an Epona, which I have no chance against by myself. As fighting them now would be futile, I head back north to allies for reinforcements, also keeping in mind that the center base is the next likely target for those enemies, now that they hold both of the southern bases. Once I'm near friendly units, I can engage the enemies without fear of being immediately torn up. Now that I'm near friendly units, I can commit to an engagement, knowing that I won't have to worry about being focus fired by numerous enemy units, and that my heavier allied units can soak up most of their fire while I deal damage wherever I can. My primary goal is to fire at enemies as much as I can while avoiding becoming a primary target, as I won't last long under concentrated fire. I mostly stay out of the way while I do fight, and quickly fade and spread damage across my mech when I'm shot at. Another trick I use is that I shoot at several different targets throughout the battle. While I won't deal a whole lot of damage to them individually, I will still ensure that I'm awarded at least a slice of the kill bonus when these enemies are destroyed, which is vital when I'm working toward getting into a better mech. I'm also still generating extra funds from the C3 data I'm giving to allies, and all this will add up when the time comes to upgrade. By now, I've amassed a decent pool of C-bills, and I can easily get more by capturing the now empty bases down south. I can also take out the turrets around these bases for even more C-bills, though keep in mind you should leave those intact if you're not in need of C-bills. They're great in defensive engagements. Unfortunately, I come across an enemy battle armor on my way to the south bases, and I'm not in a mech well suited to taking out a BA by myself. I don't feel like trying my chances against his PPC when I'm already damaged, so I make do with taking out one of the turrets and making my retreat. I've already got plenty of C-bills, and if I don't take too much extra damage, I should still get plenty of money from selling my Raven. As you play the game more, you'll start to be able to gauge how much money you'll get from selling your mech depending on the damage you've taken. I've now arrived back at base. Note that I received extra money even while I was retreating thanks to my C3. Once again, keep in mind that every little bit counts. Upon selling my Raven, I find that I have enough to get myself into a Thanatos D, an excellent brawling heavy mech well suited to base defenses, and I managed to afford this mech in less than 10 minutes of playing. Had I played better, I might have had enough for an even better mech, though this is still sufficient for an upgrade.
Sensors on. Weapon
I hope you found this video helpful, and that you can use some of this info to get into better assets yourself in your future MWLL games.